today the crisis, economic crisis which exists, is not only of African origin. It's not only in Africa. But what I would urge all the forces which participate in the economic development in the world, they should look at Africa as one of those continents which will guarantee the future of the world because of its virginity in terms of resources, both material and human resources. The continent it's a young continent in terms of the age of its population. And the growth rate of the population in Africa is big. And so in a few years it will be a populated continent with a workforce which it matters to have a good qualification of that workforce so that it makes a difference not only to Africa but to the world. And the raw materials in Africa, as the example of Mozambique, is the most blatant. It's the raw materials are dormant. So with manpower which is qualified with the raw materials, it make a big difference. And as we talked earlier, if we can preserve our forests, our environment by using sustainable ways of making our agriculture and also of developing the industry, of course, because we should not pollute the atmosphere. So Africa has got all assets to become an important player in the world economy. Of course, the Africans have got responsibility of trying voluntarily to decrease their dependency on external sources by acquiring more and more knowledge, but more than that to build up their self-confidence that we can do things. Not only the Americans can, but we can also do things. And we have to be self-confident. We have to incentivize our youth to do things. I'm happy to see that in Mozambique, more and more I see young people working. This morning I was working with an insurance company through a young lady, very young, and she was there. So she was working. In the past we didn't have this kind of things. In the banks you find young people. The technology is being mastered by young people, and so on. So this is the future. But in a short term, it will depend much on the will of our partners to say, yes, Africa is the future, so we have to help them now, and not to keep things for the future. If we combine these two things, actually we can be in Africa the basis to reverse the situation of economic crisis. In the 70s, we had a problem of the oil crisis. It was a big crisis in an era of what you call confrontation, of Cold War. Now I think that the interests should converge. And if the interests can converge for the future, we have to build it now. In 2-3 years. It's related with what we're talking about earlier. We should not wait for the conflict to end completely in Mozambique. Our participation should be really one of the ways of bringing the conflict down, to motivate the population. I mean, in the farming business, we the farmers, when we see clouds, we go to the fields and we plant seeds and wait for the rain to come, and not to have the rain to wait for to rain to fall, and then we go and buy seeds and come, and so we started preparing the land and so on, and we may miss the opportunity. So this is time for sowing. We should not say, there's still conflict, there's still drought, but you see that the clouds are there. The rain may come. Actually, in my life, even as president, I had a good experience when I was traveling in the countryside. I went to places where there was no rain. It was dry completely. And I found population who were crying for the rain. And so I talked with them, I comforted them, and I gave lots of explanation of at the end I said, do you have anything else to ask me? The one said, yes, I have. I said, what? Please, we don't have water. We don't have rain. So what I had to say was, no, now please don't stay idle because there's no rain. Prepare your farms. All the time, prepare your farms. While you are crying, prepare your farms. And one day rain may come without you knowing it. And I passed. I went to another place the same day, and I went a big distance of about 200 kilometers maybe, or 150 kilometers. When I arrived to that end, and I took the same discourse because it was dry. The rain may come any time. And exactly as I was saying it, it started raining. And it rained heavily. When I arrived at my destination, where I arrived at night, by radio I communicated with the first place and the second place where I had passed to find out whether the rain had come. And they informed me that the dams were full in less than one night. The dams were full. And this was the example which they had given. Look, go and see the dam. The dam are dry. The cattle have got no water. The people have no water because we drink from the same dam. They reported the dams were full. Yeah. So this is my example. So the investors must invest knowing that the rain may come.